Hey everyone, and welcome back to Sip and Talk. And I am so ready to dive into something that's been on my mind lately.
And I'm here to make sure we stay on track because this is going to be a wild one.
It is going to be wild. So speaking of wild, have you noticed how AI is like everywhere now? Like it's inescapable?
Oh, absolutely. It's like every time I turn around, there's some new AI thing popping up.
I know, right? It's crazy. Okay, so the other day I was scrolling through this new dating app.
Oh, a new dating app.
Yeah, just checking things out. And I swear, some of these profiles, they looked a little too perfect.
Too perfect? Don't tell me you got catfished by a bot.
No, not quite. But it did make me wonder, like, what if some of them were AI generated? You know, like, are we already at the point where we can't even tell the difference between a real person and, like, a digital creation?
I mean, when you think about it, it's not that far-fetched, right? Like, remember Lil Miquela?
Yeah.
That virtual influencer?
Oh, yeah, she's been around forever.
Right. And brands are, like, throwing money at her like she's the next big celebrity.
Exactly. And it's not just her. There are tons of these virtual influencers out there now, like millions of followers influencing everything, like fashion, travel, even like political views.
It's kind of crazy when you think about it. Like, we're already living in a world where these digital creations are having a real impact on our lives.
Seriously, so to like really get into this whole AI thing, we're doing a deep dive today on a video by Asmongold.
Asmongold, the streamer. I've seen some of his stuff. He's hilarious.
He is hilarious, but he also like makes you think, he doesn't hold back.
So what do you have to say about all this AI stuff?
Okay, well, get this. He predicts that AI girlfriends are going to be like totally normal in the next 5 to 20 years.
AI girlfriends. Whoa.
Like, imagine telling your buddy that his girlfriend isn't real and people looking at you like you're the crazy one.
Wow. Okay, that's a bold prediction, but, with how fast technology is moving, I guess it's not impossible.
Right. And Asmongold, he doesn't just throw out these predictions randomly. He actually breaks down why he thinks this is going to happen.
Oh, okay, so lay it on me.
Well, he points to things like economic inequality and the decline of meaningful work, which, let's be honest, are making traditional dating all harder for some people these days.
Yeah, that's true. And then you add in all the pressure of social media where everyone's presenting these perfect curated versions of themselves. And yeah, it's no wonder some people are feeling disillusioned with the whole dating scene.
Exactly. And that's where the Instagram algorithm comes in.
The algorithm, what does that have to do with it?
Okay, so Asmongold makes this really interesting connection between the rise of AI influencers and the way these platforms like Instagram are designed to keep us hooked. Like they say, sex sells.
Oh, yeah. I'm very familiar with that. My Explore page is a constant battle between cute puppies and, well, let's just say less wholesome content.
Well, there was actually this study that found images with less clothing get way more engagement on Instagram. And get this, Meta, Facebook's parent company, they actually hold a patent for technology that analyzes images for skin tones to determine which content is going to be popular.
Wait, are you serious? A patent for a thirst trap algorithm?
I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's true. It's like they knew exactly what they were doing. Creating a system that rewards the most attention-grabbing and often superficial content.
So basically, they're feeding the beast, and the beast is our never-ending desire for novelty and, well, let's be real, a little bit eye candy.
Exactly. And AI influencers, they're perfectly positioned to capitalize on this. They can literally be programmed to be whatever we want them to be. Beautiful, funny, relatable, always available.
So it's like the ultimate fantasy. A digital companion who's always there for you, never judges you, never argues back.
Okay, but before we get too carried away with this fantasy, we got to break down what Asmongold says about these different generations of AI influencers.
Mm-hmm.
So first generation, he says it's Atana Lopez, who is intentionally created by a marketing agency and makes a whopping $166,000 a month.
Hold on, $166,000 a month. For a virtual influencer, that's more than most doctors make.
I know, it's crazy. And then there's the second generation, and this is where things get a little shady.
Shady, how so?
So these are profiles created by individuals often using stolen content and deepfake technology to create these like hyper-realistic but totally fake personas.
Deepfake technology, isn't that the stuff where they can make anyone say or do anything? Like, isn't that super illegal?
It can be, especially if it's used to spread misinformation or harm someone's reputation, but it's also really hard to regulate, especially online.
So you're telling me there are people out there creating these AI-generated profiles using stolen content and making money off of it? That's messed up.
It is, and it gets even crazier. These second-generation accounts, they often use their fake popularity to drive traffic to platforms like OnlyFans, where they sell explicit content.
Whoa, hold up. So we're talking about a network of AI-generated thirst traps leading to paid adult content. This is getting wild.
I know, it blew my mind too. And Asmongold thinks this is just the beginning. He says, there's no stopping this trend even with stricter rules. The internet is global and people will always find ways to push the boundaries.
They're like a digital Wild West out there, and we're all just trying to figure out how to navigate it.
I know, right? But, you know, there's some countries like South Korea that are taking a much stricter approach. They actually require an ID to create a social media account.
Wow, that's intense. But maybe that's what it takes to regain some control over this whole online world. I mean, the lines between real and fake are getting blurrier by the day.
Seriously, it's enough to make your head spin.
You're telling me?
Yeah.
My head is already spinning. And you know what? I think we need to take a step back here and really think about what all this means for the future of dating and relationships.
Right, this is getting deep. We might need to refill our glasses to unpack this a little more. Okay, so we've just gone deep into this crazy world of AI influencers, and my head is still spinning.
I hear ya. It's like we're living in some kind of Black Mirror episode, but instead of being scared, we're kind of fascinated.
Right. It's weird. It's amazing to see how far technology's come, but then it's also kind of terrifying to think about where this is all going.
Totally. It's like we created AI, and now AI is starting to shape us and how we see the world.
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
So where does Asmongold think this whole thing is headed? He made some pretty big predictions.
Yeah, he did. In the short term, he predicts that we're going to see even more engagement on platforms like Instagram, like a surge in AI-generated content.
Which honestly makes sense when you think about how the algorithm works and how obsessed we are with perfect images and all that.
Exactly. It's like if these AI influencers can be programmed to be whatever we want them to be, why wouldn't they get more engagement than real people with all our flaws and imperfections?
Right. It's kind of depressing, actually. But his long-term prediction is where things get really interesting.
Yeah. What did he say about the long term?
He thinks we're headed for a decline in genuine human interaction and authenticity online.
Oh, wow. So basically, we're all going to become so obsessed with these perfect curated AI profiles that we'll forget how to interact with actual messy humans.
That's the fear, isn't it?
Mm.
And it's not like we're that far off already. Think about how social media has already changed the way we communicate.
It's true. How many times have you scrolled through Instagram and felt jealous of someone's seemingly perfect life?
All the time. And then I have to remind myself that it's probably all fake anyway. Just a crafted illusion.
Exactly. And now imagine that, but with AI. These AI influencers could be programmed to be the ultimate highlight reel, making our own lives seem even more boring and flawed in comparison.
It's like we're setting ourselves up for a massive identity crisis. And it's not just social media either.
Yeah.
This whole conversation about AI girlfriends and companions, it makes you question what it even means to be in a relationship.
Absolutely. We're already seeing things like that Gatebox in Japan.
What?
It's basically like a holographic AI companion that lives in your house.
Oh, yeah, I think I saw something about that. What is it like having a virtual anime character as a roommate?
Pretty much.
Okay.
But seriously, what are the implications of this? Are we really heading towards a future where people are choosing AI companions over actual human relationships?
I don't know. It's kind of freaky to think about.
Right.
But I guess there could be some benefits, right? Like for people who struggle with loneliness or social anxiety, an AI companion could provide a sense of connection without all the pressure of a real relationship.
Yeah, that's a good point. And let's be real, sometimes dealing with other humans is just exhausting.
Totally. But what about the downsides? Isn't there a risk that we become too reliant on AI companions and we end up even more isolated and emotionally stunted?
Definitely. There's a risk. Real relationships, as messy as they can be, they teach us valuable lessons about empathy, communication, compromise. All the things we need to function in society.
Right. You can't exactly have a deep conversation with a chatbot or learn how to deal with conflict in a healthy way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there are the ethical implications. As AI becomes more sophisticated, are we basically creating a class of sentient beings that we're exploiting for our own emotional needs?
Whoa, that's a heavy question. What happens if AI develops consciousness? Do they have rights? Do we have responsibilities towards them?
These are questions that philosophers and ethicists are already trying to figure out, and there are no easy answers. It's like uncharted territory.
This is making my head spin even more than the algorithm stuff. We need to lighten things up a bit.
I agree. How about a funny story about my cat trying to fight with the Roomba?
Always down for a cat versus Roomba story. Hit me. Wow. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today, from AI influencers to AI girlfriends to robot vacuums battling house pets.
Yeah, it's been quite the journey, but, even with all the detours and tangents, I think we've managed to touch on some really important stuff about AI and what it means for all of us.
Totally. We talked about how AI is already shaking things up on social media and entertainment with those virtual influencers blurring the lines between what's real and what's fake.
And Asmon Gold's prediction about AI girlfriends becoming totally normal in the next couple of decades, like to the point where it might even be taboo to criticize those relationships.
Which then got us thinking about all the pros and cons of having AI companions, especially for people who are lonely or dealing with social anxiety.
Right. And we can't forget about the ethical questions that come up as AI gets more and more advanced, like what happens when AI becomes conscious? Do we owe these AI beings any kind of moral obligation?
It's a lot to wrap your head around, and I don't think there are any easy answers.
I agree. This is going to require some serious conversations, not just between experts, but like regular people too. We need to figure out how to navigate this new world together.
We really do. We need to be aware of the potential consequences, good and bad, and make sure we're using AI in a way that benefits humanity as a whole.
Absolutely. It's all about finding that balance between embracing new technology and holding on to the things that make us human, like empathy, compassion, genuine connection.
Okay, so big question for our listeners.
Yeah.
What can we do to prepare for this AI-infused future that's coming, whether we like it or not?
Honestly, I think the most important thing is awareness. Stay informed about how AI is evolving, be critical of the information you see online, and don't be afraid to challenge the status quo.
And don't forget to nurture those real-life relationships. Spend time with your loved ones, have meaningful conversations, and remember that human connection is something truly special and irreplaceable.
Couldn't agree more.
But hey, speaking of real-world adventures, I have a hilarious story about a monkey we met on our recent trip to.
Hold on. Before you launch into another amazing story, let's remind everyone to check out YouTube channel Micky-to-Life.
Yes? If you need a break from all this AI talk and you're craving some real-life travel stories, whiskey reviews, and just general fun, head over to Micky-to-Life. We promise no AI involved, at least not yet.
Exactly. Thanks for joining us on Sip and Talk, everyone. Until next time, stay curious and stay real.